Hello people, and welcome back to part 50 of Ilos, our modded Cities Skylines build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks so much for all the support last week. You guys really enjoyed our cargo airport build, and so did I. Just a really wonderful industrial facility that's coming along here. And I did unclip the fire station from the oil tank. Thank you for so much all the support on telling me to, all the comments rather, telling me to unclip that asset. So we did. Thank you for all the comments and just, yeah, lovely support. I'm so happy you guys are still enjoying this enormous desert city. So long into it. But today we are heading to the west side of the downtown, a place we haven't been to for a long time. And it's a place that still remains pretty underdeveloped as well. We haven't really done too much out here apart from some suburban work. And of course the Cox of Excellence School, the Jennifer Cox School of Excellence, sorry, not Cox of Excellence, is out here as well. So it's very prestigious, it's very luxurious vibes. And with the DLC that's come out this week, I think that Ilos' stock exchange is going to make a very nice addition into this narrow strip of land here against the train line as we merge back into the open desert and the river. So it's going to sit nicely across from our convention plaza. It should hold some wonderful views to the skyline, of course, and sit quite tastefully opposite the school over here as well. So let's see what we can do with Ilos' desert stock exchange, shall we? So with this build today, I'd really like trams factored into the design of the plaza itself. Now, for those keen-eyed Ilosians that have been following the series, you may remember that this track here was a metro. However, I've changed it out because it was getting no use. It was kind of a little bit of metro overkill. There is a metro flowing through here and then out to Imperator's build, of course. And this wasn't really need for a secondary metro, so I've replaced it out for a tram. So we just have this tram line that now flows through the campus and then back into the transport hub. Into a little loop which needs to be detailed up, which we'll do in our time-lapse. So we just replaced it out with trams. You may remember it mirrored this metro stop over here as well. Some very busy buses. Very nice. Nice to see, isn't it? Yes, please, everyone. But either way, that is enough busy bus. What I would like to do now is bring in probably a pedestrian road, I imagine. So we're going to need to bring a service road over here at some point today as well. So let's bring it up to the road guideline here. So we do have the trams over this side which come through the convention plaza in the stadium. And then eventually down into the waterfront over there. So we're going to have a nice bit of tram convergence here. It should become quite a busy little sort of exchange point. So that's going to give us a base frame for right now. Let's come off the road guideline and then just bring this down. So we kind of need to decide exactly where we're going to centralize everything within the build. And I think there's a little window within kind of the sightline campus here where the stock exchange and some of the uniques that we're going to use today will probably work quite nicely. So with that sightline in mind, let's now kind of prepare the plaza space to respect it, if we will. So we'll leave 3 tiles between the main arterial road and this plaza frame, and we'll just draw this straight across right now so we know roughly what's going to happen. And I think we can possibly pedestrianize it there. And then let's just kind of test how deep this stock exchange asset is. So we've got a little bit more wiggle room there. So I think what we will do again, just to help kind of give a little bit more importance to this asset, let's go ahead and give it kind of another little layer. So let's save 2 tiles between. Cool. So that gives us a centralized design. And then I think we'll place the stock exchange just about here. So this will unlock stocks and investments for us, of course. If you haven't seen the video on the channel that kind of showcases all that new functionality, please go check it out. As to how much stock trading we'll do in Ilos, I'm not entirely sure. I guess we can have a little look what's available. I mean, we've got 40 million in the bank. It's not like we really need to do anything, but I guess we could do if we wanted to, but we'll have a little look at that later. Okay, but I'm happy with the stock exchange over here. I think that's going to be quite nice, isn't it? Cool, so let's have a look at some of the other unique buildings. I'd also like to use the International Trade building. Now, this is a little bit too tall to have out this way, just because it's kind of on the edge of the downtown here. And of course, we actually don't want to overlap the effect areas of the stock exchange and the international banking building. And I'm thinking, it looks like there's quite a happy little spot here. We're going to have to remove a little bit of our prop work, which is okay. Save the dwindling prop count at least. Let's get rid of those trees as well. And I think we can move this one. Let's just check where its building spawn point is. So it's sat there on the front. So we can just move this across to about there, I think. And then hopefully the International Trade building is going to sit there without an issue. Yeah, we're not encroaching. We're actually getting quite a nice little detailed alley down there now in the downtown, which is nice. But a very old building, isn't it? but very cute as well. How does it affect the skyline? That's the most important thing, of course. Let's jump back a little ways here and see what we think. It's not too bad, is it? It's a little bit taller than the one that was there, and the one that's now behind it, of course, but I'm happy to have that new banking skyscraper as part of our Cities Skyline, of course. Planes are maybe coming a little bit close to it, but we don't have to worry about that, thankfully, as it is. Otherwise, the stock exchange itself actually blends very well with the desert, doesn't it? That's really nice. I do like that one. Cool. Okay, so this back frame here now can just kind of chill out and become something else. We can upgrade that into just regular road, and then we can have this one as the tram pedestrian road. And then we'll feed this through the main sort of trade facility, and then it can go off and down into whatever lies over here. I'm thinking this is where Ilos' zoo is going to sit in this part of the downtown. So we also have a campus area here, of course, as we mentioned at the start of the episode. So I think it's going to be a nice idea to actually bring the campus main building in as part of the stock exchange plaza. So we'll extend it down, and then let's bring you... Will you sit on a pedestrian road? Oh, you pain in the ass. No, you won't. Okay, that's fine though. We can get around that. Let's just bring in a classic road. Why don't we go for one with a median and trees? Now let's see where we'd like to position this. Actually, you know what? We could just bring it on the corner. It might actually be kind of a perfect preset corner asset. Let's just drag it and find out. Hopefully it's just going to slide in there. Oh, it's a little too wide, isn't it? But we can hopefully just have that over here as well. So of course it's going to be whinging that it doesn't have its connection. So let's provide that connection. It could come in like that. See if we can finagle it over a little bit onto that corner. Okay, I don't think I hate that as part of the kind of older, more stone buildings here. I think it's pretty acceptable, isn't it? Definitely works. I'm on board with it. I do love the juniper line that's outside the plaza here as well. We'll definitely have some juniper detailing within the facility today. Fantastic. It says you will need a service point. We will have to give them one. So, actually that reminds me, we can't overlap pedestrian areas with campus areas, can we? No, we can't. Okay, that does provide us a little bit of a challenge then. Let's give ourselves a pedestrian area point. Let's go ahead and get them from plazas. So, as far as I'm aware, this bug is still active. Don't use the large pedestrian area service point. It will destroy your path unit counts in cities. Yeah, just avoid them. They're not great. Just use the other ones. It seems to be the large pedestrian area service point that is bugged. Whether or not that's been fixed in the latest patch, I am not sure. But yeah, just be careful of it anyway. Use the other service points except the large pedestrian area one. Cool. So we'll just provide that pedestrian area service point there. That's wonderful. Otherwise, we're expecting a nice happy sight line now. How does it look sandwiched between there? I think it's too bad, is it? Got lots of kind of open air, larger building vibes out this side of Ilos. It's very, very prestigious, which I'm quite happy with because it's turning into the opposite of the east side, which is very industrial. Cool, but overall, I'm happy with that, I think. It's not too bad. Okay, so now I'd like to start bringing in some older style buildings. The Grand Central Terminal, I think. So this comes with the Cities Skylines Deluxe Edition. Not everyone seems to have this. I didn't even know it existed until I saw Imperator use it. So there is a deluxe upgrade kind of pack that you can get if you want to come and play with it. I'll leave it linked down below to Instant Gaming. Go pick it up if you want to come play with some new unique buildings. You think you get about 5 new uniques. Includes stuff like the Eiffel Tower and the Brandenburg Gate, things like that. Okay, but I think Grand Central Terminal, it's going to be kind of an appropriate asset to have partnered with the stock exchange here as kind of an older vibe, right? They kind of have a similar frontage on them, don't they? So I think we can get on board with it. Now the asset does have a little bit of breathing room on the left-hand side there, I think, for us to just slide it on over, because there's not going to be too many people walking there, and then they're going to come straight out onto the pavement. It's not quite going to centralize, which we could change just by moving everything over a tile. We might do that. But either way, let's just let the asset sit in now and we can see how we feel about it. I hope you can agree. It's a pretty sensible pairing of assets, isn't it? And especially once we get that campus building factored in as well. We should be having a nice time to construct this quite old district of Ilos. Cool, so let's come back into some more pedestrian roads now, because I'd like to discuss some fusing of the new office assets. So let's make this here a tree road. And then we'll come into grass as we come down to this one. So I'm really looking for sort of layering different sort of pedestrian networks on top of each other, saving room for lots of like plaza detail in the middle. So I think that should be quite fun. So let's talk about the wonderful world of financial fusing, because there is a whole bunch of options here. For those that haven't seen it, Candy has a wonderful kind of tips and tricks video on the new stuff that sort of walks you through piecing it all together. Really helpful. I'll leave that link down below as well. And first thing I saw when I got this DLC was this one. Perfect fusible asset, isn't it? So it's just a level 1, what's it called? Financial Districts office zoning. And then we of course want to duplicate this up so it's flush all the way around. And that'll just give us another kind of chunky, important stone building to sit alongside our stock exchange, our Grand Central building, the campus building here as well. So it adds in a much more different vibe, doesn't it, here? You could almost imagine like maybe this was once part of the campus, but it's an old part of the campus and it's very much dedicated to financials and tradings, and perhaps any budding finance entrepreneurs want to come and study at the sort of financial wing. Okay, so my apologies for the harsh cut, everyone. We did just suffer a hard crash. It's always fun playing with a new patch, isn't it? But back to the point of fusing. What a wonderful combination that is, right? Love the addition of like Roman columns into Cities Skylines. Nice to have some old stone architecture as a ploppable asset. Very cool, and I think it blends in really nicely, doesn't it? And after the third hard crash of the day, so sorry for the harsh cuts. It's always fun playing with new DLC, isn't it, everyone? It really is. It really is. Okay, anyway, so we've talked about this building now. The possibility of fusing these little financial districts together to create little mini sort of financial institutions across the stock exchange plaza, if you like, is very much up my street. Huge fan of this. So I'd like to turn my attention back toward the campus main building. Just looking at the front of it here with the steps and the steps on this. These two are kind of meant to be opposite each other, aren't they? So why don't we see if we can do that? So we're going to have to, of course, provide a road connection for the campus building. That's a given. But I'm thinking that indeed, if we do actually begin by bobbing the campus main building, I'd like to remove all of its trees. So we'll just use Bob to do that. Thank you very much, Bob. Merry Christmas to you. And then I'd also like to use the Network Multi-Tools Unlock Segments feature to open up every path segment around the edge of the asset, because I don't really need them. So once everything's unlocked, that should just be a simple case of deleting the network within. If indeed we can find them. It's such a minute, tiny delete window for those networks. There we go. Hopefully we can get this last one. Okay, the last one might just have to stay for right now because it's not working. We'll just deal with that later on. Okay, so let's just see exactly what is a possibility here. Let's actually talk about some positioning first, then we'll see if we can bring a road in to respect it. Again, I think having just that directly opposite is a opportunity too good to refuse. So let's just leave it there for right now, and then let's decide exactly what road network can come and serve this. I think we'll just go for one of our classic American planes. I think that's going to be okay. We could actually... You're on a bridge junction, aren't you? Would it be the worst thing ever if we were to bring the road out from this angle? Actually, do you want to go for maybe a thin one? I think maybe the thin one might give us a little bit more finagling room, might it? Oh really? You lose your connection there, Metro Station? Do you? Just from having that node there? Okay, that's fine then. Let's bring this one out this side. Okay, we'll bring it down the side of it. That's going to be pretty acceptable. There we go. We can finally delete that one now. Must have just been the right angle. So we'll worry about exact final road configurations in a second. Let's make sure that the tram can continue to flow and it can be serviced here. So we'll want a regular, just 2-lane tram road should be fine. Let's go for the one with the median in the middle. And then that way we can have the trams flow over and continue to serve the area with garbage and everything that it needs. But otherwise that isn't too bad, is it? I think I'm pretty on board with that. So we could squeeze in some of the other uniques here. Definitely the elevated plaza is a vibe, isn't it? I might save this for elsewhere in the city though. I don't really know if I want this around here. We'll see what happens with it. So now I'm thinking if we were to place the underground garden plaza here, obviously it's fused into the buildings and we don't want that, but as a general plaza space, it's an option possibly. We'd have to move the fusings back, or we could actually come into plazas and promenades, or we could even construct our own sort of plaza spaces as well. There's no reason why we couldn't do that. Are you going to want to come down here? Can we centralize with that connection? Yes, we can. Yes, please. There we go. Cool. So that's centered with the campus building now. Then it looks like we've just got some happy plaza space to fill out. So we'll throw in... We'll go for the fountain plazas. Yeah, let's go for a small fountain plaza. We'll have 2 of these here. Fantastic. And then we can bring in a little bit of service painting here now between. And we can get little benches in here, little covers from the sun, tree planters, etc. Things that we've done in Ilos before for filling that downtown dead space that we know how to work with now. And I don't think I'm hating the grass aesthetic here either, so why don't we expand that fertile land out a little bit. For those wondering as well, if you are still suffering issues post-update with what's going on... Oh, are you not? Oh, you're AstroTurf, aren't you? Idiot. There we go, using the wrong grass. There we go. Yes, building themes mod was causing Ilos to crash, so if you are also experiencing hard crashes with building themes, get rid of it. It would appear that it's no longer supported with this patch. Square that junction off as well, and remove the nodes, or crossings either. Okay, got some nice little green space here now as well. We're really starting to settle all this in, aren't we? We'll definitely do some more of this fuse in here as well. There's some great corner assets in this new collection too, so we'll see if we can respect some of those. Otherwise, it's coming along great. So there is also a train line at the back here, and I think the best thing to do to help settle this in, I was thinking about just turning it into a tunnel, but I think we're actually just going to extend the key line that comes all the way down here, down to the bridge. So again, the eagle-eyed of you might realise that this side of Ilos here is empty. What I'm planning to do here is kind of a big sort of highway connectivity junction into downtown. So we're going to sort of bring the roads through here, use some highway roads, get some nice sort of like sweeping looped bridges that come back into the highway, and essentially create like a downtown interchange out of the metro, the rails and the road. So it should be quite a fun episode. It could be also be a stream, I guess we'll see. Probably an episode this one. It's quite a big space to film, and it'd be nice to sort of hang out and do some network fun together, won't it? Cool. So let's now focus toward the trams. I'm happy with that key in as a boundary for the edge of kind of the financial district here. I think it's going to be okay. It also provides us a little bit of walkability along the rail line too. So let's bring you down. I'm not entirely sure kind of where you're going yet. Do I want to bring a tram to Imperator's area? Imperator's kind of rural. I feel like if we invade Imperator's area with trams, it kind of kills the vibe a little bit. I don't really want to amend his build. It's so good, isn't it? It's so good. These fields. Yes, please. Such a nice idea with the trench there too. What a great idea. Anyway, yes, if you haven't seen Imperator's collaboration on our city, guys, please go check it out. It's a very sort of quintessential Phoenix build. But I guess I would want to bring it up into the zoo eventually, wouldn't I? So why don't we plan for that eventuality? Let's move the service point over a little bit. Just go for your pedestrian area out a little bit further. Let's go over there for right now. Tremendous. We will factor that into the build as well. Then let's grab our tram pedestrian roads and then bring you level with the building and then feed you into the junction. And then this gives us some fancier node controller and of course intersection marking tool opportunities as well if we want to. Let's just give everyone a little bit of offset there. Just so it's all happy. Nice wide important junctions in the downtown are always appreciated, aren't they? And then we'll probably turn this road here into some of the new tram stuff. Probably just... We've got trees on the road, haven't we? So we might as well make it this one. Yeah, and then I'm going to leave just a very temporary turnaround point for the tram here. Cool. And then we will factor this into the zoo, which will occupy this space as the west side of downtown develops. Otherwise, it's not too bad, is it? Pretty happy with it. So let's get that tram flowing. And we finally have an excuse to use one of the new tram models in Ilos, because of course we've been using Blue Thunder's OE trams. Okay, so let's have it flow through here. It's also going to make sense for it to stop along this path connection here, because they will actually walk into that. And then I've also upgraded this bit into a pedestrian road, so it kind of looks a little bit more important as it passes by the university. And then it can come down into the pedestrian plaza where it can stop here. Yes, it can. And then there's no reason for it to stop around here. There's nothing for it to stop at the minute. And then let's alternate the stop here on the node. That's fine by me. And then it can mirror its way back into the downtown transport hub, of course. Tremendous. Let's catch the tram as it comes out. So there's a little bit of fencing that's clipped through there. There we go. And let's go for... I think the kind of older style tram might actually be quite appropriate here, because we're kind of playing with old school stone vibes. So the tram will go back in, and then we can possibly enjoy this one. More of a San Francisco sort of streetcar vibe, isn't it? Change the line to white, get a different colour model on there. And then we'll let them stagger out across the line and see what we think. Otherwise, I'm very happy with the vibes that are developing here. We've got a lot of kind of big car parks, huge buildings, and it looks quite impressive, doesn't it? Which is really the vibe we want to hammer home with these sorts of buildings here today. Wonderful. Fantastic. So now I'd like to turn my attention toward a smaller space over here, and I think we're going to start fusing together some more assets. So let's find a nice little corner unit if we can. So we can search for corner within this pool, and it's going to pull up some nice assets for us. So I think I'm going to go for a couple of these on the correct orientation there. So this pack has introduced some like really nice fusible shapes. You can essentially just create like a whole suite of sort of new unique buildings now. And I'm thinking if we add in this level 1 there, I think I'm pretty happy with that. And then if we just duplicate those 2 corner assets again on the other side with a little move it copy and paste, we can create just new unique buildings. It's so cool. So of course these are supplying office demand, and it's not actually going to be like commercial or anything, but it looks really nice, right? Who knew that old stone buildings were missing so much from the game? I think it's going to sit pretty impressively on the corner, isn't it? It really introduces us to that kind of old stone quarter. Really happy with how this is developing. I was kind of thinking like, where am I going to put this in Ilos when it first came out, and it turns out Western Downtown. That is the perfect place for it. So of course we can centralize that within the space itself, and also make sure that everyone's sort of happy and parallel. We can check where we come up to here. I want to make sure we're at the same positioning at least. There we go. And I think I'm helping up some happy surface painter around the edge. We'll tie everyone together, and that gives us a new kind of financial building to play with, of course. So these should have tax bonuses, which is currently 0%, because we haven't done any trading, but because they're near the stock exchange and probably within the radius of the trade building as well, they will get a little tax bonus for these once we do a bit of trading. Cool. There we go, I'm happy with that one. Let's turn our attention now towards this side of the campus. So there's a lot of appropriately themed unique buildings from the European tab, weirdly enough, for an American city. That would work tremendously well, kind of designed in with all these ones here. So we could even make that a part of the same asset if we wanted to by fusing them together. Or we could separate them out and create them a little plaza. But I think the government offices from the European Unique Buildings tab works tremendously well with all this old stone stuff. They've got a little ministry sign out the front, so perhaps the Ministry of Finance for Ilos maybe? I think that'd be pretty cool. We can see there as well just where we want to help extend that tile. Let's come into some of our tiles. And I'm pretty sure they're yard tiles, are they? Yes, they are. Tremendous. So we'll stick these on a linear fence fill with the old faithful prop line tool. And then I really just want them to sort of run down towards the road like that. And then we'll use move it to grab our decals. Grab all 3 of those, and then just repeat that pattern until it's flush with the entrance. It's just going to extend it down for us. Help us make a little more use out of that concrete space out front. So we can have the Ministry of Finance in there. I'm thinking it might actually be, or make more sense, I guess, for it to back onto the arse end of it, which is okay, but we can still take that tile palette with us. I'm thinking if we did it this way, and I'm not really bothered about exposing the back of this, I'm happy to have them sort of interconnected and maybe make it a flush wall there. How does that suit us? It works. So I think we'll leave that there. And then of course it just wants a pedestrian connection now. We're using cobblestone for all of this. So we will just grab that connection in there. That's going to work tremendously. And then we can just grab those decals that we drew in a second ago. And just drag them around to the front. So definitely worth factoring in the actual aesthetic of buildings into the build as well. Because we can create some really old prestigious... I love that the people in the togas are walking through as well because it's part of the campus area. That's so cool. That makes it really look like it is part of like an old school campus, doesn't it? Like the financial institution of Ilos is tied into the Jennifer Cox School of Excellence. So really happy with that theme. That's actually pulled off tremendously well. And then there's a few ghosts using the trams now as well, which is always nice to see, isn't it? And we'll hopefully sort of keep developing this very impressive surrounding that's developing this part of the city now. So let's have a look at some more plaza uniques and some banking, and then we can head towards sort of a detailed time lapse today. So I'm really keen to use this, the elevated plaza, and this is a very, very cute asset. It's really nice. I love the little like layers and depths on it, assets, little, well, props rather, and stairs and sort of big concrete columns. It's very nice. I love this one. And I'm curious to know just how fusible it is. So let's bring it onto the road here. And then we'll duplicate it with move it. And then where can we have this? Where would sort of be a nice happy fuse point? Maybe about here? Can we work with this? Although that staircase is going to encroach upon the last one. How about there? It's just a little bit too short, isn't it? It's just ever so slightly too short. We can always move the tram road over a node if we need to, or a tile. But it is quite fusible, isn't it? Especially when we get these little angles developing here that look like planters off of the workshop. Yes, please, everyone. And of course, it's going to be active as well. Sims are going to come and use this, and I'm happy to have that directly outside of the government office, I think. Perhaps like a little art installation. Yeah, you can see there. I just need to move the tram road over a tile, which I will do. I'll do that in the D10 time lapse, though. We won't do that now. But it works, I think, doesn't it? I think it works. And then it kind of fuses nicely back into the service point where we can possibly introduce a little bit of concrete painter in here. And thankfully the props from plazas and promenades, the bollards were added as props, I should say, rather. So we can extend that vibe out. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe 2.5 is appropriate. Seems to be about right, doesn't it? Let's turn that auto default off as well. Yeah, and let's just keep that going for like there. And then we'll have that run down the duration, and then we can possibly squeeze in some commercial here, maybe a little kind of eatery with our favourite commercial assets for people wanting to come and get something to eat if they're working here. And I think that blends in quite nicely. Hopefully we can add in a lot of detail here as well with service painter and props and planters to kind of extend this walkway up to the plaza. That should help those two ideas integrate fairly nicely, I think. I think I'm happy with that. Cool. Really piecing together into this kind of old school stone facility, isn't it? I'm enjoying it. Although the German and French flags on the front are slightly killing the Arizona immersion. But I don't know. Maybe the French and the Germans have some sort of agreement with the governor. Perhaps there's some sort of shady financial dealings going on. Maybe we can introduce into the law that the governor is actually corrupt. Corrupted by the aliens, maybe. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide in the comments. Otherwise, let's have a look at a bank. So it's coming to banking. So we've got 3 different sizes here. And this one's... it's alright, I think. I don't mind this one. Although I think I'm after more tower vibes here. So should we go for the skyscraper bank? It looks like it's going to fit and sit, is it? Very nearly. That's a prime example of it. If it fits, it sits. Do we enjoy the tower here now? Is this too far out of the skyline to be realistic? I know there is kind of other pops of height in Phoenix. I think I can bear with that. It's not too tall. We've definitely got the run down Main Street as well, haven't we? And it does allow us to introduce a few more sort of mid-rise towers into Western Downtown as well if we need to. But I think I'm happy to have the bank there on the corner. Opposite the convention plaza. It's got trams running behind it. We can surface paint all this out as well. So it kind of becomes like one cohesive texture, and there's planter detailing to be had here. Little benches and whatnot to bring out around the back of the bank. I think actually, if anything, the bank just wants to be knocked off the road a little bit. Just give it a little bit more breathing room. So it's kind of got that open plaza up out the front. Yes, everyone. Yes. That's so nice. Oh, that's a lovely tower asset. I love the bank. Yes, please, everyone. Cool. So, of course, they're going to send money vans out to deliver money to commercial zones, which will ever so slightly reduce their crime rate, but I do enjoy the aesthetic of a little money van moving around in Ilos. That's very appropriate, isn't it? Very nice. And, of course, back into Main Street then, which goes all the way down into the heart of the city. But pretty tremendous. I'm really happy with it. Otherwise, guys, this feels like a good point for a detailing time-lapse. Within these spaces here, as we move towards the key, I'm just going to link some pathways in so we actually get people walking on this key line. Hopefully down towards the metro, which of course feeds them into the completed Sky Harbour complex now, which is all the way over there. So we'll do that and complete them. Do some more fusing of these financial offices. We've kind of done like a big square one here. And then kind of like a mixed fusing to create some really new, cute style of buildings. So I'm really happy with this. We'll do some more to fill the space. And then with the space that's left over, either bring in grass or concrete. I don't want too much sand within this facility. So we'll sort that out. Lots of props, bit of commercial, planters, trees, and all our usual favourite spices to help bring an area together. But I think this has been a really cute addition onto the side of a university. And hopefully a slightly more unique way of using the stock exchange stuff rather than just making kind of a classic stock exchange plaza. We've kind of tied it into a financial wing of the Western Downtown University, if you like. So I'm really happy with it. It will also bring some more car parking as well because it's Phoenix and why not? Alright, so let's detail up the Ilos Financial Institution and then we'll be right back. Okay everyone, so let's have a detailing review, shall we? This has turned into, again, possibly one of my favourite areas of Ilos. The combination of old stone buildings and kind of financial vibes here has really paid off, so let's check it out. So at the main junction, down at the bottom of the road, we've done some very gentle and careful, pretty minimalistic IMT. Just some straight dash lines out of the straight lines and highlighting the tram roads with a little bit of green filler. Pretty tasteful, I'm happy with this. And then we merge down into the tram where we've got some finagled commercial up against the high street, again trying to stick with some sort of older stone buildings to keep on the theme, if you like. We then merge into a little eatery area where we've got a food plaza and some benches, which then transforms into a little pathway with the repeated plazas and promenades fountains here, which I think looks really cool. And from the back end of it, you actually kind of get a retaining wall when you play with them like this, so I'm happy with that. And then it merges back onto the fused plazas where we come into a little bit of plaza detailing out here where we've created a new financial planter, which is university benches, some planters off the workshop, and then some of those rocks just anchored into them, so there's little kind of lumps of rock within the gravel, if that makes sense. I hope it does. It's a really nice little plaza design. And then we've used this across the facility. I've also dragged in a university library, I think this is, isn't it? Yes, the university library, because it very much has the same vibes as some of the financial stuff. So this is just a dragged over area from the governor's office over here. So we can carry on using some of the campus assets in that sort of fashion. So I'm really happy with how that's integrated into the build. But as we come around, I'm such a huge fan of all these fused financial shapes. They might actually be some of my favourite assets in the game now. By themselves, they're pretty abysmal, but fusing them together, having the corners and the stone and the modern glass for whatever variation you put them in, they're just fantastic. Perhaps the best fusible assets in the game. I don't think that's totally out of the question, is it? But either way, we've carried on fusing together these little complexes here just by picking out some of our favourite assets from Find It and then piecing them together so we kind of get these larger financial buildings within the trade sort of stock exchange plaza, if you like. And I'm a huge fan of this view here. Like, just look at that. That's so cool. All that old stone, the pillars, and just very appropriate themed area, I think. Anyway, as we head down the pedestrian tram road, we arrive at some zoo plazas in repeated patterns either side of the stock exchange building. The stock exchange does level up as you trade stocks, but it gets taller and more glassy, which I don't want for this, so I'm keeping it level 1 on purpose. I don't really care about getting it up to level 4 or 5. And then we've now centralised our Grand Central Terminal over here as well. And then dropped in lots of bushes against the road with a little kind of classic live oak pattern. Perhaps the oaks of finance are lined up outside of the stock exchange plaza here. Where we then arrive into the two unique plazas, the bull and the bear, which thank you to you guys for telling me that. I believe the bull means like a strong positive market, does it? And the bear means like a weak falling market. Again, I will leave the comments to clarify that, but we've added them in either side with a couple of our favourite curved planters and some street trees, alongside a statue of Jerry Sr., who, little known fact, was actually a major Bitcoin trader in the city. And then as we come around the corner, we arrive back at more of those Park Life plazas, back to our kind of Roman pillar fusing. So we've got like another financial institution within the trade plaza itself. And then we've used these financial sort of pallet planters between the tram and the pedestrian roads, and it's just... I can't quite describe it. This area is very kind of open airy, very appropriately spaced, I think. I'm just a huge lover of how it's all come together. It's just tremendous, and this car park is actually getting busier now as well, because there's more jobs and things for people to do. And then yes, we come back into here where we arrive at some more of these plazas with some more plazas out the front of the campus building, which again is very kind of on theme and appropriate, isn't it? And then we do have a whole bunch of people using our walking pathway here to get back into from the pedestrian area. They're then taking the key back out to the city to get onto that metro station over there, which of course runs all the way through the heart of the city, back over there, and of course terminates at the Sky Harbour as well. So interconnectivity from all over the map to get here. It's very nice. And then our last little finagable fuse is sat here on the corner as well. Again, please go check out a few Candy's video on kind of tips and tricks for making these assets look good. And she's got some really nice ideas in there for kind of piecing all this stuff together and making it look a bit more kind of authentic and nice rather than how it comes in zoned, which is very rough to say the least, I think. And then our tower is here now as well, our banking plaza on the corner. And it's filled some really awkward space. You probably just heard that Coco shake as well, so shout out to Coco. But it's a really awkward space and it's filled in quite nicely, almost as like that kind of financial extension to the campus area. And I'm tremendously happy with it, and we will just have a very brief tease of that nighttime skyline together because it should look fantastic from here. There we go. That's what we're all here for, isn't it? What a tremendously satisfying build, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it. Otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, then please feel free to leave a dislike as well. This financial DLC is pretty cool. Now I've kind of sat down and played with it properly rather than just doing kind of showcase videos and tier lists, etc. It's very fusible, and you can create some really, really nice office blocks with this, especially different angles on them as well. Perhaps create like an L-shaped building out of all this, and you'll just create so many more interesting actual buildings for the city by doing it. It's really nice, and I'm really happy with the kind of theme of its financial sort of wing of the university, perhaps very well known around the world for financial trading and, you know, sort of training the next sort of best generation of investment bankers, that sort of vibe, if you like. But a nice combination of unique buildings and zonable assets as well. Please do hang around for your cinematics. Of course, this place should settle in tremendously well into that Ilos western downtown view, and it's nice to be back in western downtown as well. We'll definitely be spending the next few episodes out this way because there is some significant developments to be undertaken. And then Ilos will be nearing the end, I think, after that. There isn't too many more things left to do, and not too many more things that the node count will allow for either. Either way, please do enjoy your cinematics. I will be shutting up and leaving it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.